Fairly large table radio. It's got the single mono speaker here. Probably puts out some good sound. So we're gonna tie into this. Okay, I just picked this up. It's a PYE. Not sure if you say PYE or PI. Canadian brand AM and 5-band shortwave radio. Model 762. Just going through some bit of a inspection here. Quick see if anybody's been in here, and it looks like they have. These are different screws, and then that one's not even in right, so somebody has definitely been in here. So anyway, so I picked this up from a gentleman. He had King K Groceries on White Ave here, and I believe it was just a family-run small grocery store. He opened in 62, and even has the date there, 62, upside down. But he said this came into the store. When they opened the store, it got put on the shelf or in the store, and they turned it on and basically never turned it off till they
sold their business
about 15 years ago. So it's been running for at least 40 years, 10 to 12 hours a day. It's got AM, or that BC brand or broadcast band. Then there's 5 shortwave. So this came out, looking online, about late 40s, early 50s. I'm not sure what time, but I guess there must have been a lot of shortwave stations or broadcasts available that people needed or wanted that. Made in Ajax, Ontario for the Canadian market. So we just going through the buttons here. They're a little strange. This one has off, FID, or BRI. I'm not sure what these mean, unless they're the bands. And then there's gram. There is a pickup outlet in the back, so I'm thinking that's for phono to plug in for an external audio source. This is a designated volume button. That's it, volume button. Here's wave channel. I'm not sure how that works, but that only has 2 settings. It's like there and there. There's a little play in there. I still don't know this radio how it works. So, and that's the tuning, and you can see the dial moving in there. So that's the tuning. No, but it's in good shape. It's a metal front. I think this is glass. All wood construction. It has 4 nailed on feet here. I think those were rubber feet at the time, and the rubber is completely gone. 4 bolts in the back to hold the chassis in. There's antenna wires that come out the back, and that must be for an external antenna. It has a built-in antenna. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a coil in there that wraps. So there's an internal antenna already in the set. So there's an external speaker jack, on-off switch. I'm not sure if that is for the speaker or for the set itself. I think it's for the speaker, but it's kind of neat. Whoever signed it here in 62. There's also a 1996 date and signature there, so that might have been a repair job at that time. But I think this has definitely been opened more than once to look at and repair, just by the state of it. I kind of think I should just plug it in, but probably not. Why not? But it's a nice looking set. You definitely could refinish it. It's fairly large table radio. It's got the single mono speaker here. Probably puts out some good sound. So we're gonna tie into this and probably tear off the back and at least open that up and check for loose wires before I do anything like plug it in. Everybody wants to see the reveal, so we'll show you here. Been heating up the garage right now because it's a cold day. We've had such a good winter so far. It's just turned cold, but that's all right, you know. Okay, trying to get the back off. So we got the antenna wires right away. So that's the antenna coil there. There's also this switch here. And yeah, switch goes to the speaker port. So I'll switch it just for the external speaker. I wonder how I can maneuver this. I guess I can go like that. There you go. Okay. Yeah, the usual dust and dust bunnies here, but that's normal. That's a big 6x9 speaker. That used to put out really good sound. Well, they had it for the whole store. I guess it was probably set up near the counter, and you could hear it throughout the whole store. So there's 7 tubes in here. It's a 7-tube radio. And we'll look up the schematic for this. On closer inspection, that speaker's been changed out. Yeah, that's the original speaker where it was mounted. So they put that speaker in after. Oh, this cord is damaged. Wow, they were broken up. I do plan on plugging this in against all wisdom. I'm going to do that because I'm curious. These wires don't seem to be touching anything. They do. It's shouldn't be an issue. I'm going to plug it into this dim bulb rig. It should safeguard the equipment as well as myself. You run the power through this bulb. It's fairly high wattage, 300 watts. If it glows bright white, there's a short, somewhat of an issue. You should unplug it, but it won't totally short out, blow the breaker or anything. Any issues should be taken up into this bulb, and then the equipment should be fine. So I actually haven't done. I built this 2 radios ago, and I still haven't used it. I just powered the radios right up without putting it through this dim bulb rig. But we're gonna do it now. I got a little heat on in the garage here. It's like minus 25 out, so I'm using a big heater just to keep everything manageable, so I don't have to wear gloves. So, okay, I'm going to plug it in and watch the fireworks here. Okay, it's not drawing anything because it's not turned on yet, so if I turn this on, the bulb should come on. Got these big halogen lamps on here so I could see, but can't see if these tubes are warming up. The lamp is on. It lights the dial. Volume is turned right up. Yeah, golden hair. See my breath. No big deal. We have power because the light goes on for the dial, but that is it. Dead set. Okay. Well, that's not very exciting. Just to note, this tube is getting hot. It's quite hot, actually. Cold. Cold. Ooh, that's hot. Shit. Yeah, these are cold. Hot one, very hot one. You know, I've just been testing it. This tube in here, still, it actually does have a small filament glow. but really super dim. I just want to make a note that there's obviously no shorts in this chassis because this bulb never came on. Never came on at all. So I mean the set is good that way. We'll check into that. We'll tear it apart and see what's underneath. See what other components have been looked at, tinkered with, replaced, and whatnot. All right. Okay, I wasn't gonna bore you with pulling this chassis out, but probably should have. It was a bit of a bull to get out of here, but I got it out. Okay, just tipping it over here. Little wax capacitors. Look like they've reached the end of their life. That looks like it's burnt. I'm just looking for anything that just jumps out at me. That capacitor looks overheated, maybe even blown out on the ends. Definitely a lot of heat generated there, so that's a sign. You can see the heat radiating everywhere. So that's probably where we'll start. I don't see any new components in here. The amount of times this has been removed out of the cabinet, it's surprising I don't see a new component. Just a couple things to note as I was cleaning this cabinet. You can tell where some of the wax capacitors were getting hot and dripping their wax. So this stain on here is just where a capacitor was getting warm and dripping the wax. Whether that means the capacitor is shot now, I'm not too sure, but it's obviously not that healthy, and that would be which capacitor would be this one here. It's right above where the radio gets mounted, so that spot there. There's also another fairly big stain of wax coming off a capacitor, and that would be this one here. Again, that's just a telltale sign that, you know, something needs looked at and replaced. But I found it interesting that you can just do some, you know, obvious observation and see what was going on in this radio before it failed. So, okay, so I have the PYE 762 on the bench here, out of the cabinet. I got some leads to the speaker. I did some testing again, and I replaced this capacitor because I had an existing one. That is a 25, let me grab it here, 25 microfarad, 25 volt. And I have a modern one. Look how tiny it is. It's right there. And I replaced that, and I'm just going to turn it on. Actually, I did turn it on. I got a little bit of noise out of the speaker, which was surprising. I'm just testing it, see if I can replace the minimal amount of components to see if I can get this thing to work. Before the lights came on, and that's about it. So I'm going to, again, turn this on. This light indicator came on. So the tubes are warming up. Hear a little spark or crackle out of the speaker. I'm just going to turn it up here. So I'm getting something here. I'm not sure how this set works because I have this switches off and then it goes FID and then BRI, MEL, so I'm not sure. So I don't know if that static is maybe from the camera picking it up. So okay, let's, oh wow, every time I move here there's audio. Okay, let's turn this. That's interesting. One more. So that should be SW, shortwave. Again, FID. And I believe this is the pickup. It says gram. I believe that's short for gramophone. The pickup input on the back. There's also tones. I don't know how do you get tone out of that. Let's go back to, okay, that's off. First switch, FID. Have the volume up. This wave channel here moves this. Not sure how that selector works, but moves this whole component over. It's spring loaded, and this cable here goes down to here. Okay, run the first one. Let's go back to here. We'll go through the channel here. Turn it down. Well, I should stop. One good thing, there's no smoke or fire, so. This is the 5-band shortwave, so I get a really strong AM signal on the high end. Seems like it's tuning, so let's see if we can. Assuming these are the 5 shortwave bands. That's number 3. Four. No, that's it. Okay, I'll move this selector over one more, and aha! Yeah, that's the low end of AM.
Some of the next phases too, as to what next is going to be coming in. So phase 2 will kick in April.
Her voice has been silent. Sigurdsson's.
What that would be, but it's something she can do from home, obviously.
Really wanted to do what you would normally do on a hill when you go skiing.
There's that strong AM station.
Like what you try to incorporate in terms of hockey. People that do it now. Isn't Struddy into that? He's a cross-country skier.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's off.
But it was like, yeah, I was sweating by the end, and I think I get a little bit of a rhythm, but I'm not really sure. But I got to figure out how to get up like that. It was embarrassing. Like I'm rolling the knee, I'm just like,
maybe this is the adjustment.
So it was.
Excuse me.
You had to
For the
laugh at that
AM
point.
band.
You had to laugh.
Hey,
but I was like,
exactly.
thankfully there was no one around at that point. So.
Is this tone?
Fun little
These switches?
trivia question for you. Do you know the two Oilers? And some of our listeners got it. They had to look it up. Patricks in the Battle of Alberta each. There's only two. Do you know who they are?
Really? Okay. Oh boy. It's got to be some obscure players, isn't it? And it could be Oilers or Flames.
No, it was both Oilers. Lanny McDonald, actually, he has the most hat tricks. He had 3 in the Battle of Alberta. He's the only Flamer to have 3.
Okay, Pat Hughes will be my second guess.
Pat Hughes had 5 goals. He has the most goals of anybody in the Battle of Alberta, and he did it the night when Gretz, Curry, and Messier.
Okay, this is working. This is working.
No,
It's
Pat Hughes
working.
had the one hat trick. You can regale
We
us
pretty
with
much
his,
don't
hat
have
tricks in the Battle of
shortwave
Alberta.
here. I picked up a little bit last night on that
Mike Smith,
Viking.
I'm not surprised. I think it's
I
Mark
didn't think I
Joe
could
Smith
pick
tonight.
any
He's
up,
so
but I did
confident
last
tomorrow.
night
And, you know, if
at
he plays like
anywhere
Tony
between
Thompson the first
6
game
and
in
8
Vancouver,
p.m.
get him into a rhythm. Again,
Odd channel, it's hard
like they did
to
in previous years, but James Neal is in, and Kyle
it's hard to get
Turris. I think
good
Turris
audio
given
out of it,
every
but I did
opportunity.
pick
I don't think he
a
can
couple
complain.
stations
He was
up.
given a fair shake.
Hard to
And
listen
who knows,
to,
maybe
but
a few nights
there's
in the
something
press box will help
around.
him like it did Ennis and Carroll.
Surprised me.
Something to take him out of this
With his
funk
volume.
or this bad groove that he finds himself in. You know what? It almost feels like, or it seems
there's your tone.
from the outside looking in, like he's in one of those situations where he's probably tried to go to the meth the other day and
all this.
still the output in that game the next night.
There is
was
definitely
minimal
some
as well.
filter
So
hum. The
maybe
original
something to
filters in
just
here.
Shake
This
it
is
up.
tier.
Yeah, watch a game from
Turn
the
it
press
down.
box and then when you get back out there, remotivate yourself.
There's
and
2
find
filter
a room
caps
and a positive
in there in
way.
that can.
Whatever's
And I
been
tested
tried
those.
to this point,
I tested with the audio rig that I have, and just
he's been
can
spotted
tell
in
just by
different lines,
sound.
been bumped down the pecking order.
I learned
Found out
from
the other night.
Shango067 on YouTube. But they do work. Not very low tones, very high, so it means I think that's low capacitance.
Doesn't happen, and you find the next time he's back on the ice.
And this capacitor here, and you can only check electrolytic capacitor. So this electrolytic capacitor, barely anything coming out of it. Barely anything. And this is a 25. This, I replaced it with a 33. I didn't have a 25, so I bumped it up to a 33. Should be fine. I mean, I have all these original existing capacitors in here. They are working. Some of them look pretty, nasty. I'm sure they need all replaced. But for now, I just wanted to see what the bare minimum was to get this thing going. Since this one was completely bad and I had one, I changed that before I even tested it. But I tested it before and I couldn't get anything. So that might have been just enough for get this thing to work. So happy about that. Some of these resistors are really like, yeah, they're hot. That is hot. You can tell it's almost like melting as you look at it. Wish I had an infrared. I could tell which of the hot components. You can tell, I don't know if you can see, but this resistor in front of my finger, this one, super hot. This capacitor, that larger one there, it is melted, yeah, back there. All those need replaced. There's probably so much leakage, but it's working. Happy to see what how I could resurrect this thing. So that's good. It's a good looking set. I've been putting some oil on here to treat that wood and just soaking it right up. So all right.
Play how they have in those games, they got a really good chance to win tonight.